Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Tiana here once again, and I am back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, specifically Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy / Game Boy Color. So, last time we have basically managed able to did done a lot of quests to be found, such as for instance we did manage able to collect even more secret seashells, and also we did manage able to come across ourselves the next key onto the next dungeon, and also on top of all that stuff though, we did manage able to collect 5 of those gold leaves, I should say. I keep thinking about golden feathers for some reason. I keep thinking of the other games or something. So either way though, I think that's as far as I can try to describe about the forms of the last video's topic for that point. So today, for this video, is the fact that we're going to be taking on Key Cavern, the next dungeon in terms of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening itself. So, yeah, because obviously if you couldn't tell, that's sense about the fact that we can now able to actually use those pots, that because of this though, we always have to equip the power bracelet, so just in case we can able to actually just to pick up the actual pots. And as you probably already saw, that every time whenever you do manage to toss the pots onto those specific locked doors, basically it allows you to open it. So yeah, that seems kind of legitimate right there, which I think, I don't know about you, because it has been about quite a few days since I actually last played this game, just because of how the fact that, well, obviously that Pac-Man, that he's obviously going to be able to still continue things on in terms of the forms of Donkey Kong Land 3. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, I think that's as far as I can try to explain about this. Oh, and another thing about this as well, I did somehow accidentally told Pac-Man off for the sake of the forms of not to download any of those ROM hacks for, I know for the fact that he did already mention about the forms of, well, he did somehow manage able to accidentally download it, the Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit remake, but I did try to warn him not to able to play it all that often, because otherwise we need to able to take care of our laptop every now and then. But I do apologize for Pac-Man for able to actually just to tell him off from that way, because it also applies whenever I did manage to tell him not to able to play the Sega Master System version of Sonic 1 and 2 as remakes, by the way, which I think I'll let trying to able to discuss myself on that until whenever we're able to get on to the forms of the next few parts, for the sake of the forms of this particular game right here. So yeah, I guess I must have able to actually go over pressured on him. So yeah, forgive me if I somehow managed able to botch everything else for this point, especially noticeable because, well, I just felt incredibly bad for Pac-Man for able to actually not trying out the forms of some very cool, you know, Sonic ROM hack games. So, but either way though, I will tell him to say sorry until whenever I finish this particular part itself. So, anyway, so let's get ourselves the map right here, so that way we can able to see what the map itself actually looks like. Well, we'll probably see that more often until whenever we're able to, you know, keep on switching items and stuff like that. So let's just go down to the staircase, and there's going to be a lot of slimes everywhere, which we do need to get rid of, so just in case we can able to actually just do just that. So anyway, so let's go and get onto the forms of those doors right here. I think, relatively speaking, I think we should probably get to it with the forms of the left door, or actually no way, I think we need to go on to yeah, let's go to the left door first, because, well, as far as I'm aware, we need to take care of the forms of those enemies right here, so we can probably expect how this is going to be going on to this for the sake of time. And, oh jeez, I just realized, every time you get close to one of them, basically they start to teleport you. So because of that though, yeah, I honestly have no idea why I choose that room to begin with, but either way though, enough about that. Let's get to the forms of today's discussion for this point, and that is the fact that today's day is of course the 13th of September today, in this case in 2022 today. So it looks like it's been about, you know, as far as what Maxi has, well, I think I should probably let him discuss more details about that, until specifically when he goes back on to Super Mario 3D All-Stars in the Super Mario Galaxy game. Basically, it's been about 5 years ago since when the actual September Nintendo Direct in 2017 has been hosted, along with the forms of the 4 years ago routine, for the sake of the forms of the 2018 counterparts of the September Nintendo Direct. So, yeah, I can't believe time flies all of a sudden, and especially noticeable because, well, I remember back in the day that I usually gone hyped with those specific stuff, but even though some other stuff, though, might be a bit controversial for most players out there. But either way, though, again, I'll let Maxi will talk more details onto that, though, until specifically tomorrow. So, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, because obviously the main topic at this point throughout is the fact that I would like to discuss is the fact that recently, DuckTales Reboot, for the sake of the forms of the 2017 series, has also become 5 years old recently. So because of that, though, yeah, I can't believe that particular show has been out for about 5 years ago now. Well, at least, usually relatively speaking, most people really enjoyed the actual 2017 reboot, which I was quite shocked about this, especially noticeable. I was a little bit mixed on it at first, but I might as well give it a chance, especially noticeable after I decided able to do the entire DuckTales Watch Marathon, for the sake of the films of not only the original series, but also with the reboot series as well. So hopefully I'll get the chance by able to actually just well, get this onto it. So, and also another show that's been out for quite a long while actually, and that's what appears to be by the forms of based off from How to Train Your Dragon franchise. And that's what appears to be Dragons Riders of Bark. So I think that particular show is now officially a decade old, since 2012, which I'm presuming that was originally hosted onto the Cartoon Network, which is pretty surprising all things considered. So yeah, I guess that's that. And another thing I would like to point things out is the fact that I would love to able to actually just try to able to get myself Freedom Planet for the Nintendo Switch at some point soon, because I was really looking forward to the sequel of that game, although despite the fact that I haven't exactly got the first game yet, but hopefully I'll get around into it though, until specifically next summer in 2023. That the reason why I say that is because I can assure you that Freedom Planet 2 is going to be heading onto the Switch at some point in summer 2023. So because of that though, yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that actually, especially noticeable. Well, the good thing about the forms of the Switch version of Freedom Planet, and that is the fact that, well, specifically on the Switch version, I usually said this before, that you can able to actually play on the go, which is awesome, and especially noticeable about the fact that, well, it's kind of unfortunate that you can no longer get Freedom Planet for the sake of the forms of the Wii U version anymore, just because of how the fact that obviously you can no longer add funds. Well, technically you still can, for the sake of the forms of trying to do a Nintendo Switch technique, for able to actually link up into your Nintendo Network ID onto a different system. But unfortunately though, I have no option to do that for the Wii U, just because, well, it's been like completely forgotten for the sake of the forms of the actual ID password and stuff, which I'm not gonna explain about that because, well, I just cannot afford it. So I just realized is the fact that the actual entire the dungeon map layout is almost like a keys of any sort when it comes to the key-shaped room layout, which is interesting all things considered. Especially noticeable because, get it, because this dungeon is called Key Cavern, so we can pretty much expect how this is going. And of course we got some more rupees here, so that will be pretty useful, especially noticeable if we get into the forms of the later portion of the entirety of the game, that we can pretty much expect that we will definitely get ourselves some even more items throughout. So anyways, another thing I would like to explain, I suppose I forgot to mention about this ever since the past few days ago, recently, in new forms of in the UEFA Women's Euro football match during the course of in England for the sake of the forms of in 2022, specifically in Euro 2020 football match game, recently, England has managed to win in the finals, which is pretty amazing all things considered in my opinion, especially noticeable that I almost felt a little bit nerve-wracking at first, especially noticeable where, actually I'll get into more details onto that in a second, because here we have a mini boss fight right here, So in this case though, we do need to able to take down those Dodongo snakes. And in order able to deal with these guys is the fact that we need to able to use bombs in order able to deal the damage of these guys. And then by the way, it needs to be like specifically timed for its you know, trying to place the bombs into the actual you know, Dodongo snakes mouths as far as this is concerned. So, yeah, that basically explains how the fact that, well, I have to admit though right away is that this particular mini-boss might be a bit tricky, but regardless of everything else though, I think that's as far as I can try to muster it, so... But yeah, I found it was very incredible back in new forms within, I would say in July, or sometime in, yeah, I think it's possibly in July, I believe, or sometime in August, I have no idea, because it has been about quite a few days now since I actually known about football stuff, or soccer for those of you who lived in America. That's basically though, I'm just so relieved that England has now finally won in terms of the women's Euro 2022 for its match department. So, and here we go, here's the forms within the Pegasus boots, returning item from the likes of The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past, where basically it functions the same way as the forms of how it does it in A Link to the Past, except the fact that, like I said before, the huge difference is this time is the fact that it's now going to be like a programmable item to able to equip for the sake of the forms of 2-button commands. Although, until when it gets to the point until the Switch remake, that thankfully though, it's now usually going to be kept in forever if you don't able to equip the item too many times. So, that might be something worth noting for, especially noticeable in this room right here. That's the only reason why we've managed able to ignore this room to begin with, because obviously we do need the Pegasus boots in order able to just, well, make it to that point. So, there we go. All simple and done. And now we can able to move along and, well, continue, some portions throughout. So, anyway... yeah, because, usually for the finals, whenever we did manage to face off against with, Germany, like in most any other traditional, like, I don't know what you would call it, that, England somehow managed able to got 2 points, and then Germany got 1 point. So, well, I will say, it feels a little bit more satisfying than the likes of how it does it on that. Well, we were entirely gutted for the sake of the forms within last year, when it comes to likely in Euro 2021, most likely, just because, well, relatively speaking though, I just cannot even believe we just so got gutted for the sake of time. But let's not get up ourselves at this point, because we are still in 2022 as of now, so either way though, there's not much right to home about, so... Anyway, so with those bombs right there, you have to be very careful, by the way, just in case you don't want to get blown up, so... Just in case. So, oh, and another thing I would like to mention about this as well, recently, another one of those, films, or actually, kind of think about it, another one of those shows is also getting its anniversary stuff as well, which appears to be a Disney Channel series called Phineas and Ferb, which I have heard about the show, but I've never actually seen the entirety of the show. Well, I've seen some episodes of it though, due to the forms of Disney Cinemagic back in the day, but relatively speaking, that particular TV series of Phineas and Ferb has now officially become 15 years old since 2007, the same year as when the Simpsons movie came out, and especially noticeable with Ratatouille, and especially noticeable with any other games you know as well, like Mario Party 8, Mario Strikers Charge Football, along with Super Paper Mario and Sonic and the Secret Rings, Sonic Rivals 2 on the PSP, Super Mario Galaxy, and all kinds of shenanigans, so... go away! I don't need you! Ah, drat. I always get hit when the timer always reaches to 1. Oh well, no big deal. And by the way, you notice with that particular sound on the wall that we somehow managed able to just use the sword with? Well, basically that indicates that it's going to be a breakable wall by using bombs. So, something's worth mentioning if you really want able to just figure out what to do for this point. So... Now, I'm very surprised that we're almost done with this particular dungeon, so because of that though, well, it wasn't until whatever we get to later on though, it might start to get a little bit lengthy, but regardless of everything else though, especially noticeable when we get onto the forms of well, let's just say the final 2 dungeons most likely, so... Anyway, there's another thing that's been came out during the Forms of the Anniversary department, which appears to be the film called Paramorman, which it's basically like a stop-motion kind of animated movie or something like that. Although I've heard of it, but I've never actually watched the entire film, I must be honest, mainly because back in 2012 though, this is where the forms of the dark age of ourselves usually comes into play. During the course of 2012, despite the fact that let's not talk about 2012 anymore. I mean, let's face it, don't get me wrong, I found 2012 is actually a pretty decent year, but it's just the fact that it's not the greatest year I've ever experienced, but it's not too bad. Certainly way up there than the Forms of 2020 though still, but regardless of such though, that's as far as I can try to explain, so. Anyway, so let's go ahead and pick up some more parts, so just in case we can able to actually get something out of it though, such as more bombs, that finally we managed able to get most of it anyway, because, my lord, we managed able to use a lot of bombs thanks to the forms of that particular Dodongo snakes, so I think that pretty much summarized as such, so. But yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can try to, like, think about for the sake of time, so I'm pretty sure about that anyway. Oh, and recently, we actually got ourselves the actual, one of those game showcases recently, for the sake of the forms of Disney and Marvel game showcases presentation-wise. Although, unfortunately though, I don't have that much information about it though, although I will talk more about it until whenever we get to the next part of this particular game. So, hopefully we'll be able to actually mention more details onto that though, so. Anyway, so now let's go and open up, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 key locks until we're able to progress. So yeah, that's a lot of keys that we can able to use for. So anyway, so let's go ahead and make our leaps of faith by simply able to use the Pegasus boots and the Rock's feather to perform a dash jump. So pretty satisfying if you managed able to pull this off, but hey, at least it's something is so cool to able to actually just to experience all things considered. So anyway, oh, and another thing I would like to mention about this as well, that there's that particular indie game that's about to be coming up for the sake of the forms of multi-platforms that's going to be at some point until next month. And that's what appears to be Thumbs Fighting Herds, which appears to be is more likely inspired by My Little Pony Fighting Is Magic fan game. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, we finally got ourselves the release date for the game, and now it's going to be coming out at some point. Well, in terms of physical games, I'm not exactly sure if they will do the physical versions of the game, for the sake of the forms of in the European countries most likely. But either way though, I think I should probably discuss more details on that in a second, because, well, we've made our way to the forms of in the Nightmare Keys lock, so that way we can able to take on the next boss. So and hopefully we're able to retrieve the forms of in the third instrument, so hopefully that might be seems the case. So you can find me, nah. Okay, we'll see about that then, huh? So basically, we have to use the Pegasus boots and then just try to bash into any walls. And this is the forms of in the next boss in the game, and this is known as Slime Eye. And basically, in order able to deal the damage on Slime Eye, is the fact that I'm pretty sure you have to able to do the first phase first, where basically you have to use the Pegasus boots in order able to actually dash straight towards the likely the middle. And then if you do it well enough, assuming you need to able to get yourselves a very good angle movements and stuff like that, because most of the time it's a little bit tricky at first glance, because obviously that you might able to actually go slightly to the right and slightly to the left after you bash into the forms of Slime Eye. But regardless of such though, it might be pretty easy when you take him down if you manage to able to know what you're doing, but sometimes though it's a little bit tricky at first glance. So he's almost trying to split up. Oh, come on. Why does that not work? Okay, come on. Oh, it's almost there. I hate when that happens, especially noticeable. It's always gonna be. Well, it seems very strange. He doesn't usually pull off that much attacks though. Okay, there we go. Now he splits into two. So in this case though, now we just need to simply just take them down like no sweat. So, oh yeah, there will be at times they will start to attack you, such as for instance with that particular stomp. So And exponentially speaking, I highly recommend you use the rock spell first, so just in case you don't get stunned by the forms of that particular familiar stomp. So, and there we go. We got ourselves another heart container. So as a result, we're now on to 7 heart containers. So, and here we got ourselves the Sea Lily's bell. So, we got a bell, folks. And I think, fundamentally speaking, we're actually on the halfway point in terms of heart containers department. So, well, to be more specifically in the Game Boy version of this. So, waterfall. It is hidden in the waterfall. Okay, that will be another hint for the sake of the forms of the next dungeon we can able to hop into. But let's not get ahead of ourselves at this point, because now we can able to actually just... Oh, hello. Hoot, how many instruments have you gotten so far? When you play the instruments in front of the egg, the windfish will wake and you will leave this island. Now, you must hasten to the Urinar Desert. The dark, monstrous inhabitants of the sand will show you the way. Woot, woot. Okay, thanks for the hint, sir. And of course, I accidentally fell in the water, but that's okay, because either way though, hopefully, there was actually that specific item we can probably get, but that wasn't until whatever we get to later on though anyway, so either way though. And also I do apologize with the forms of that particular commentary, it gets a little bit glitched up, especially noticeable about the fact that it overlaps the forms of the actual commentary of what's going on in the actual, the thing itself. But anyways, let's go ahead and just use the only bomb, that way we can able to blow up this thing, so that way we can able to actually progress. So much so for that anyway, so at least I'm glad that I managed able to got that anyway, for the sake of one remaining of those bombs in particular, so... Oh, Tiana, I see you have a nice stick. Can I borrow it for a second? Yes, of course. So there you go. Oh, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to able to knock down the beehive, and if you do that, the bees are trying to harm you. Like, seriously, it's almost like Winnie the Pooh cartoon all over again, except the fact that, well, I don't usually do anything. So, and from here we got ourselves the honeycomb, which I'm pretty sure, speaking of Winnie the Pooh, I'm pretty sure we'll able to find out the hint of it though, until specifically later on, so, of one of those NPCs we can able to talk to, So, yeah, I will try to fix that at some point, whenever we get to the next part of this playthrough. That's, basically, though, I'm hoping that the actual commentary doesn't get glitched up, especially noticeable it keeps on overlapping with all that, you know, the actual misleading commentary and stuff like that during the gameplay footage. So, it's just the fact that it's so annoying sometimes, especially noticeable. I think I honestly blame on my very old laptop at this point, so because of that, though, imagine, if you will, that sometime maybe in likely next year or something like that, I can possibly be able to actually just to classify for getting another new laptop if possible. Well, it's just so hard to tell because most of the time though it's pretty expensive, so... And also, we got ourselves another secret seashell by using the Pegasus boots and just trying to bash into that particular tree, so... Yeah, pretty swell. So, anyway, another thing I would like to explain about this, actually, while, I believe Joel has forgot to mention about this during the course of the forms of the Mega Man Marathon 2, actually, recently, I believe, fundamentally speaking, BBC also stands for the forms of, British, Broadcasting, Corporation. That particular BBC itself has eventually become 100 years old since in 1922. So yeah, time flies, doesn't it? And heck, let's not forget ourselves. Oh yeah, let's talk about the forms of Thumbs fighting herds for the video game fighting game. Again, based off from the likes of the fan game, My Little Pony Fighting is Magic. Basically, it does manage to receive the release date, and it's gonna due out at some point in next month, which appears to be 18th of October, so, yeah, pretty close, kind of thinking about it, and especially noticeable about the fact that it's gonna be releasing on the Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One / Series X, alongside with the phones within the PlayStation 5 as well, so, yeah, it seems pretty, swell and everything, so, yeah, I guess that's that. And another thing I would like to explain, and that is the fact that unfortunately though, there's going to be another game that's going to be closing down services. Specifically, the 3DS version of Pokemon Shuffle, which appears to be like a puzzle type game. For the sake of the forms of the Pokemon game on the 3DS, because I think it's going to be ending services until also in March next year. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit upsetting for those who are able to actually miss out on not only the Wii U but also the 3DS systems as well. If you decide to want to able to go after not only DLC content for the sake of the forms of, you know, New Super Mario Bros. 2, along with Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and Wii U. And let's not forget ourselves the continuation story for the sake of Fire Emblem Fates. And also there was, oh yeah, speaking of such though, we got ourselves another heart container. So thankfully there's no deep water to swim through, so that way we get ourselves another piece of heart. So, nicely done. But anyways, let's go ahead and shove this rock and get ourselves another 50 rupees. So that should all be pretty swell, if I have to say. Oh, and by the way, with those specific side quests until later on, that we do need to also spend some rupees from time to time. Well, it wasn't until whenever we get to the remake of the game that basically though is the fact that we do need to able to get tons of rupees to get. Although, let's not get ahead of ourselves for this point just yet, because, well, you know what I mean, we're just, you know, managed able to get ourselves 7 heart containers, meaning that I think, relatively speaking, we're almost at the halfway point of the game already. So as a result of that kind of stuff, though, there's not much else I can honestly try to explain about this, I must be honest. But either way, let's just go ahead and cut some more bushes, so we can able to actually get some specific rewards there. And we need to able to go in here, because after all, we've now got the Pegasus boots, along with the power bracelet, and here's the bed here. So we can able to actually just to go ahead and, yeah, let's just equip that. And if we dive right into the bed, well, basically, it actually contains a secret, thing to go through. Oh, jeez, it looks like we're gonna have a dream of this particular place? Okay. Yeah, so because of this though, basically I highly recommend you able to use the Pegasus boots throughout the majority of this particular, this room right here, because otherwise, without it though, it'll makes it impossible to complete. So, yeah, that might be something worth noting for, so. And we got ourselves the Guardian Acorn again, so we can probably able to, yeah, and there's also another reason why I highly recommend you able to get the Pegasus boots to begin with, because, well, you know what that particular green object that you can obviously just smash able to destroy with the Pegasus boots in mind? Well, basically that's essentially how you're gonna do with this. And from here we get ourselves the Ocarina, which technically speaking, this is actually the first time ever in a Zelda game that does manage to introduce the Ocarina instrument. So if you thought to yourselves, Ocarina of Time was the actual introduction for the sake of the Ocarina, well, it turns out it was actually this game. Well, at least if you kind of say that in A Link to the Past also does have the exact same instruments like the Ocarina, but ultimately speaking though, it calls it the flute, so, which obviously allows you to able to go through different portions of the entirety of the map of Hyrule like anything else if you find one of those wind binds or something like that. So relatively speaking though, we can probably able to expect this point. So now we need to talk to Marie right here, so we can able to actually just to go ahead and let her sing along to her song and stuff. And from here, we're able to actually learn the first song for the Ocarina if you talk to Marin right here. So yeah, I do apologize for the forms that commentary is a little bit iffy at points and also kind of awkward as well. That's only mainly because I'm still got paranoid with all that the commentary glitched up all of a sudden, so how do you like it? It's really touching, isn't it? Does it stick in your mind? Yes. So in this case, we now finally learn the first song, which is the Ballad of the Windfish. This song will always remain in your heart. please remember, this song, you should play it once, every once. Yeah, you probably get the idea. Now, I think this will be the most mandatory thing if you really want to finish the game. I can assure it to you anyway, because if you don't have this on the other hand though, well, you have to backtrack for a little bit. I'm presuming so, I guess. So, anyway though, I suppose that's pretty much as far as I can talk about for this point, guys. I mean, yeah, it still kind of sucks about the fact that Pokemon Shuffle for the 3DS is about to close down services, so because of that though, it's kind of unfortunate it has to happen, so... Anyway, yeah, let's just go ahead and continue things on here. Oh, and another thing I would like to mention about this as well. Unfortunately though, one of those games, specifically on the Switch version most likely, and say applies to multi-platforms as well. Unfortunately though, Hogwarts Legacy, the game, is going to be delayed for the sake of the forms of not only for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One and PC Steam, and even Epic Store version most likely, but also it gets like a massive delay for the Switch version, so, well, I mean, relatively speaking though, we actually finally got the release date for the other platforms of, you know, Hogwarts Legacy, and that's just going to be releasing on the 10th of February next year, so... Relatively speaking though, that applies for, you know, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and Xbox One, and PC Steam, and Epic Store. However, on the Switch version, on the other hand though, it's gonna have a massive delay. So because of that though, I'm not exactly sure it's gonna be releasing next year though, I must be honest. But relatively speaking though, I've got no comments able to point things out. So, yeah, it seems kind of unfortunate for Harry Potter fans. So... Oh, I should probably also mention about this as well, actually. Whenever that one time I somehow managed recently we somehow managed to got Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the DVD and Blu-ray versions of the film. And basically though, one thing I should probably realize is the fact that with the animated shorts, they always come bundled within it. Basically, as soon as I found out, called Sonic Drome Home, what I found out is the fact that the voice cast, well, Sonic's voice is unchanged. It's still Ben Schwartz for the sake of the forms of the actor's name. And as far as Tails and Knuckles, as far as I'm concerned, they do have different actors for the sake of the forms of Sonic Drome Home. So it's like Knuckles is being voiced by Fred, Tata Skaror, I think that's what it says anyway. And as far as Tails goes, she is voiced by Alcorn Packard. So yeah, it's kind of strange. They're able to actually have that actors has been, I would say, replaced for the animated shorts compared to the forms of the feature-length movie for the second movie most likely, because I know for the fact that I really still enjoy the film as it is. And also another thing as well is the fact that also it's kind of unfortunate about the fact that one of the actors died recently, specifically the Italian voice of who did the actual voice of Pingu, which if you ever heard about that show before, well, I do remember it back in the day from the sake of the forms of, actually no way, I think Sonic did actually tell me for this whenever he was young, that he used to remember watching this so many times as a kid. And as a result of that kind of stuff though, it's kind of sad that that particular actor for the original Pingu series has been recently passed away. So yeah, it kind of sucks honestly for most Pingu fans out there, especially noticeable with the original series. So, oh jeez, I got zapped by these little choo-choos. Anyway, so let's just go ahead and continue, and I get this strong sense of feeling that it looks like we're almost nearly at the one of those new areas we can able to explore into. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because I think we should probably... Nah, I don't think we can able to explore into the water just yet, because, well, we don't have anything for the water at the moment, so, oh, jeez, those little... Oh, goodness gracious. I could almost get myself nerve-wracked by that specific bomb-like explosions with these guys they're flying about. But, either way, oh, jeez, how am I supposed to get past here? Even then, I really don't able to actually get a game over or anything, because obviously I just refused to able to get a game over, which thankfully I didn't, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and use the shuffle to get ourselves another secret seashell. So pretty swell, I have to say so. Now I think, fundamentally speaking, I think we've only got 4 more of those secret seashells left. So yeah, it feels like we're almost done for this point where it comes to secret seashells grinding. So yeah, it's pretty something else. So, oh, and another thing I suppose I forgot to mention about during the likes of the forms of this entire game, along with when Maxie also forgot to mention about that during the course of in a Super Mario Galaxy game, for the sake of the forms of, you know, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Recently, Sonic Origins has eventually got ourselves the actual first patch, at least ever since in a couple of, like, I want to say for about a month ago, actually. So in this case, though, they got some stuff like, let's just say, game crashing issues, and issues with Tails' AI, and also sound bugs, and even menu and control issues, museum missed credits, and finally the data saving issues. So as a result of that kind of stuff, though, I think that's as far as I can try to explain about this. So, yeah, sure, it's something. And also another thing as well is the fact that I've somehow managed able to come across into this very cool thing for Sonic Origins, most likely. They got themselves some very, very cool, you know, sound codes for the sake of the forms of Sonic Origins. Specifically, the Sonic 3 and Knuckles variation. So, like, for instance, there was actually, some codes that allows you to able to disable supersonic music, and also all the enemies turn into squirrels, Reki, when defeated, and also infinite continues. It only works in classic mode, and another thing as well is the fact that with Fly with supersonic, with like egg reveal movements and stuff like that, which I think I'll save that conversation until the next video, because as you can see, we managed able to give a bit of a honeycomb with that particular bear-like NPC. And from here, I think we should probably be able to expect that, well, seemingly for surely, that we actually got ourselves some pretty cool, well, it's hard to explain because it's been about, you know, like I said before, a couple of days ago since I actually last played this for surely. But hopefully until by that time, until the next video, I should able to actually just do some better commentary than the likes of how it does it for pretty much anything else as far as you expect. So there's another teleporting pad right here, so we can able to test it out in a second. So but for now, let's just go and go over here. And what is up with this walrus right here? And he's sleeping. And also with that particular icons you see, that actually indicates Marin right here. So that might be something, a bit of a hint right here, until we need to find her as much as possible. So and the reason to do this is to hop in here, and that way you should probably be able to go back a little bit. However, what makes this a little bit annoying though, especially noticeable on the Game Boy / Game Boy Color version of this system, basically those teleports were able to teleport you into random places, and there's no way you can able to actually pick those specific destinations you want to go to, whilst unlike the remake, that you can able to actually choose the actual specific spots you want to go to, which I'm very appreciated with that specific stuff in mind. But I might be biased when it comes to likely for some of those issues I have with it, but I think regardless of everything else though, I think that's as far as I can try to explain about this for the sake of time. So anyway, so let's go ahead and cut some more bushes, and hopefully I need to refill my hearts and stuff like that, and grab some more rubies every once in a while. And I think, suffice to say, I think that's all there is to it, I guess. So oh, speaking of Marin, where is she? Well, I suppose we should probably find things out until... Actually, good thing about it though, I think we should probably, as soon as we're able to actually reach onto that specific areas in mind, kind of think about it though, I think I should probably decide able to just, well, end things off at this point right here. So yeah, join me next time for more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, and that we'll get out able to search for Marin. And also on top of all that stuff though, just try to go for some more areas in the game, such as for instance with that particular desert spot, and possibly we can probably able to get started with the next dungeon as well, if possible. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. Later fellas.